Welcome to my evil lair. Yes, there's no escaping. You cannot click off this video because if you do, a demon will appear behind you and kidnap you, and you will be transported to my majestic basement where I keep all of my subjects. Excuse me, I think we had some technical difficulties there. But rest assured, if you do subscribe, if you do become a wise boy today by hitting that button, it takes 2 seconds for you guys, but it means absolutely everything to me. If you do that, then you have been blessed by the Savior. You are saved. Do not worry, there won't be any demons. And get yourself some fantastic content. If you like gaming content, philosophical videos or video essays, then just join the channel. Now, with enough shilling, Savior, okay? Jesus Christ, can you buy me a steak dinner first before you do all of this shilling? No, okay? Because let's just get into the video, because I'm very excited to talk about this today, especially with the recent release of Starfield. I think it's very important that we dissect and take a look at its competitors, okay? And even though these games aren't exactly similar, they do a lot of things that are similar, but they are fundamentally different games. For example, you wouldn't exactly compare Skyrim with Cyberpunk 2077, even though they are both action RPGs, kind of light RPGs if you ask me. They do similar things, they're both open worlds, and you know, they have lots of different quests and side quests. You don't usually see them being compared, but because Starfield has been such a beast, okay, it's been so hyped up into oblivion.
Shut up and take my money!
I will be releasing a Starfield video very shortly, giving you my full deep analysis on it. I'm very excited for that. But it seems that a lot of people got very confused about what that game was, and there was huge amounts of comparisons with No Man's Sky and Star Citizen. I do think that Star Citizen is a closer comparison to Starfield than something like No Man's Sky. So today, I thought we would take a look at Star Citizen. I will give you my Star Citizen 2023 review. This is Star Citizen in 2023, all of the updates, what the game is like now, what you can expect, because trying to understand exactly what Star Citizen is a bit of a minefield, okay, because you just don't know what really this game is anymore, and it seems like the developers don't exactly know what this game is anymore either, because they just keep adding to it. It's still not in full release. Star Citizen has been literally in development for years and years and years, and it's been in this kind of early access state for a very long time now, and I do think a lot of people feel like they kind of got conned because, you know, they are basically fundraising, and a lot of the community has put a lot of money into this, especially with some of their practices when it comes to buying ships and stuff like that. Like many AAA games nowadays, they are filled with malicious practices like microtransactions, or they are just busted on release. At least Star Citizen is, you know, not lying to you. It is just asking for fan funding, but it is taking it a little bit far, some might say, and the fact that they still haven't delivered on the final product, I do think that is a cause for concern.
Shut up and take my money!
But with all of that out of the way, let's actually just dissect and take a look at Star Citizen in 2023. And I do hope you enjoy the Star Citizen 2023 review, and let's just dive into it.
I would like to have 2 chili dogs, a ticket to the Sonic movie, 2 rolls of toilet paper, and Johnny's senap. Get on with it. Oh, you're not taking me serious because I'm a woman, right? Don't make me do it. Don't make me do it.
But basically, you need to understand that Star Citizen and Starfield are very different games, and towards the end of this video, I will give you my Starfield versus Star Citizen, or Star Citizen versus Starfield kind of breakdown, comparing the two, what they do differently and what they do alike. But first, let's just break down what exactly you do in Star Citizen. What is Star Citizen like in 2023? So basically, you will be performing lots and lots of different missions in Star Citizen. You have an open universe or galaxy, solar system, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, we haven't got to that point where we can simulate an entire universe unless we're already living in a simulation, which is pretty likely. But it is very, very big, okay? You know, massive, and all of these planets you can actually land on, you can explore, but not all of the planets are handcrafted. Obviously, that would be insane. Just like Starfield, they do use help with procedural generation, so bear that in mind. You know, the textures and stuff like that, it is like a kind of wrapper that they basically put around a planet. But there is a lot of handcrafted stuff in here, but the starships and all of that kind of stuff, that is all handcrafted. But the space stations and stuff like that aren't all handcrafted. Also, a thing that it does have going for it, again, like Starfield, I think Starfield did take a lot of inspiration from Star Citizen, but you know, each planet will have different types of gravity. Because each planet will have its own different type of gravity, there is zero-G combat. But a super cool thing that you can do in Star Citizen that you cannot do in Starfield is basically leave your ship whenever you want. So if you're out in space, you can just hop out of your ship, no loading screen, and you can just fly around, float around.
Shut up and take my money.
It does have that sense of scale and freedom, which Starfield doesn't exactly have, because yes, like a lot of people are complaining about, and I'll talk about that more later in the video, there is no loading screen or anything like that. It is like No Man's Sky, in which you can just go from space all the way penetrating, oh yeah, deep penetration into the planet's atmosphere, and you can just land straight on the planet, which is very satisfying, I do have to admit. But unlike No Man's Sky, there is a little bit more structure here when it comes to questing and your missions. Basically, Star Citizen is capitalism in space life sim, the game. Basically, in Star Citizen, it is a sandbox space sim, okay? You make your own adventure, you make your own fun, you basically decide what kind of job, what kind of person you want to be, and that can be said as well for Starfield. That is why a lot of people are comparing the two, I guess, even though they are different. Starfield, like I said, is an action RPG. This is more a sandbox space sim, make your own adventure type deal. And yes, it does have some RPG elements, but not exactly. Like I said, it is truly more a sandbox game. But the amount of freedom that you have in Star Citizen is just amazing, and that's what makes this super fun. So now let's break down some of the things that you can actually do in Star Citizen, because it's pretty difficult to describe, because there's just a lot to do, and in some ways you could say it borrows elements of an immersive sim type experience, because like I said, it is all up to you and how you choose to, you know, play the game. But at the moment, the main selling point of Star Citizen is the fact that it is a multiplayer game. It is a multiplayer experience, so you can explore the entire galaxy if you have an expensive PC rig that can handle it on high graphics and all that stuff. You can explore the galaxy with your friends, and that is what makes this game truly amazing if you ask me. You know, you can just get up to all kinds of things, and yes, the planets aren't interesting to explore either, just like in Starfield. You know, if you just walk around the planet, you will get bored, and it's so stupid that some people want that as a feature. Yes, it's cool that you can do that in Star Citizen, but no one would actually do that because there's nothing on the planets usually. Yes, there are quests and, you know, locations to discover and stuff like that, but actually Starfield, I would say, gives you more to do on each planet because it's randomly generated. But the fact that Star Citizen is open is a really cool thing, and the fact that you can just play it with friends, build up a massive crew. Also, you know, in space there are no limits. You can have a massive, you know, starship battle between these different freighters and stuff like that, which is very satisfying.
Can I do the countdown?
Huh? Oh, sure. Knock yourself out.
10, 9,
Okay, we're here.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off.
So it's a super cool feature that you can have a multi-crew ship. Basically, you know, you can truly get into the RP role-playing factor in Star Citizen. Now, what you won't get in Star Citizen is rich storytelling with deep and interesting characters that are impacted by your actions. Okay, that is something that Bethesda does very well, and that is something that Starfield does very differently. But like I said, you make your own story, you make your own fun in this type of game, but it's not like there isn't anything to do, but it doesn't have exactly bustling, realistic NPCs either, going about their day. You know, there are massive cities that you can explore in this, but they do feel a little bit lifeless, I would say. Even though they are very detailed, it's not to the same degree, so bear that in mind. Of course, you can have these massive starship battles, which does remind me of something like Firefly or Star Trek or Star Wars. Flying in space in Star Citizen is a lot more realistic and feels a lot more immersive because you really have to micromanage all of your stuff. The way you travel just feels a lot more immersive, and you are always, you know, basically in full control of your starship and stuff like that. So you can be a mercenary, you can be a bounty hunter, you can simply be a cargo trucker, space gamer trucker, which is super cool. You don't even have to engage in combat if you don't want to, which is a nice thing, and it does really make you feel like you are part of this galaxy or universe and you're just doing your own thing. It has an interesting economy to it as well, which is just a lot better, and all of this kind of stuff just makes it feel far more fleshed out. Just like in Starfield, you can be a miner, but also you can be a smuggler or a little bit of a crack dealer, which might appeal to some people, but there's lots of different, you know, roles that you can play, and basically you can just take on different missions and stuff like that. So, you know, maybe you have to defend a civilian outpost, or, you know, you have to defend them from pirates or something like that. So there's lots of different things that can happen. Even the more mundane jobs in space, you can truly get immersed in. You know, you can basically clear a bunch of debris in space. You can be like a space garbage man if you want. You know, the options are pretty open, which is super cool. So in that way, it is kind of an RPG, but it's not exactly a fixed RPG. It's an RPG in the fact that you have to really, you know, role play with other people. It's not so much that the game has a fixed story or anything like that, or different factions that you can interact with. A game that is very easily comparable, I would say, to Star Citizen is something like DayZ, and that's a very old game at this point, but that game was always such fun because, you know, you never knew what to expect because other players and the combat in that game and in Star Citizen are deadly, and, you know, it's not a casual experience. If you lose something, you know, and someone takes your ship, well, tough luck. You know, there's just that kind of element to it that makes it feel far more immersive, and I think that is the true fun of Star Citizen in 2023. Now, they are still focusing on making story-based missions, but at the moment there is a lot to do with this game, but it's more about interacting with the community, and that's what makes this feel very futuristic and very immersive, because you basically are living in this galaxy with other people, and I think that's where the fun comes. It's basically, it just lets you loose and you can basically create your own adventure, and the technology they've added just makes this game even better. Like now you can literally scan in your face, so, you know, people can actually read your facial expressions, stuff like that, which is pretty creepy, but it's pretty cool. So that is Star Citizen in 2023. It is a very different type of game compared to Starfield. It's a lot less fixed, but it's also not very heavy on consequences and story, unless if you count, you know, the stories that you make up with other people and stuff like that. But the economy is far more fleshed out. The options to live, you know, your fantasy as a space whatever is more open, even though you can do that in Starfield as well. But there are certain things that I do think Starfield does better, like shipbuilding, or, you know, creating a community and stuff like that, and of course the actual stories and role-playing, all that kind of thing. But I do think Star Citizen is a very good game, and of course you can spend your hard-earned money on building a better ship or creating a life for yourself on a planet, very much like Starfield. But I do think Star Citizen in 2023 is still worth it. But if you are more of a fan of the kind of Bethesda RPG, of course Starfield does basically what Star Citizen does, but with that flavor of Bethesda. So now let's quickly talk about that before this video ends. Now personally, I love the aesthetic more in Starfield. I like the art direction, I like the lore, I like the fact that the universe has already been built up and it feels like a living, breathing world and a living, breathing, solar system. And the fact that you can do all of this stuff now that, you can do in Star Citizen as well, like zero gravity combat. You can travel to different worlds and explore the entire world if you want to do. You can set up outposts. You can live the life that you want as whatever background you want. But it is a lot more segmented. It is a lot more limiting in certain ways. And the fact that it doesn't have multiplayer, the travel system isn't seamless and it does feel very janky. There are a lot of menus. So in the end, I think it's down to player taste and what you value more. If you value interacting with NPCs and characters and that kind of stuff more and, good quality writing, but having a little bit more dated gameplay mechanics, or if you just want an open sandbox space adventure game where you can do whatever you want, but at the end of the day, the world itself doesn't really care about you. It doesn't really matter that you're in this world. You aren't the main character, okay? But in Starfield, of course, you are the main character because this is a single-player RPG. So it's down to player taste, and if you just like Bethesda games, I think a lot of people are just tired of Bethesda games. I personally think they are still very good, but like I said, it's all down to your personal taste. So that is Star Citizen in 2023, my Star Citizen 2023 review. I do hope you enjoyed this video. I truly hope this video helped you decide if you want to play Star Citizen in 2023. And basically, I hope I answered the question if Star Citizen is worth it in 2023 or if Star Citizen is worth buying. Like I said, it still hasn't been fully released, and I do find that a little bit, I don't know, like, come on guys, like, is it ever going to be released? Is it ever going to be good enough? And I do think they should focus more on, like, curated content, proper missions that have some kind of background story to them a little bit more, just to give you some more, I don't know, immersion, I would say. But, like I said, it's down to player opinion and what you like in your games. But when we do talk about Star Citizen versus Starfield, I do, at the end of the day, think that is a pretty stupid conversation. Yes, both of these games do a lot of similar things, but fundamentally, if you strip down the theme of the game and the artistic, choices that the game is made, the fact that they are both space-focused games, if this was the Elder Scrolls Skyrim, we wouldn't be comparing it to Star Citizen, but because they're both space games and they do similar things, we compare them. But if you strip that away and you look at them as what they actually are, what the game core actually is, they are fundamentally different games, very different games. So it's pretty stupid to compare them, but I thought, hey, a lot of people might be interested. So I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, like I said, do subscribe. It would mean so much to me. I work super hard on my videos. And yeah, go check out my music on Spotify if you like the music from Cyberpunk 2077 or that kind of spacey synth style of music. You will enjoy my new album, Nova. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. Make sure you do subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.